Hey, moms, this is your girl Sharita, the Behavior and Literacy Strategist, coming at you from the Morgan Unlimited Growth Institute, where you can find solutions for both your child's behavior and literacy challenges, y'all. I got a good one for y'all today. Come on in here. We need to talk about this. This is something that I feel very strongly about, and I know there's probably going to be some moms coming in saying that kids should be allowed to use calculators. Some kids are not as good at math as others, so they need a calculator. But let me tell you something. You know I go hard, okay? Hey, Miss Darnett. Hello, welcome. So this is something I'm talking about. Do not let our children use calculators. This is something that I'm very strict about when I do math and when I see. Before I was working with kids with my tutoring coaching program, my daughter knows, okay? She couldn't use a calculator. She had to do it herself, okay? So this is something that in my program right now, I do not allow my students, they don't use a calculator at all. And if I catch them using a calculator, it's a problem, okay? hey, love. So, first, before I explain to you why, okay, I'm going to try to keep this short, but I got a lot to say on this topic right here. But first, before I explain to you why we should never allow our children to use calculators, let me tell you a quick story, okay? I was taking the entrance exam into Rutgers University. So, you applying to college, you got to do an essay, you got to take that entrance exam, see where you at, right? We get to the math part. In my mind, my whole life, I was thinking and feeling like I'm not that good at math because language arts is my thing, y'all. It's my thing, okay? But I was always feeling like I'm not as good at math, so my confidence was not there. So it's time to do the test. I'm like, all right, I don't have a calculator, but I got my phone. And on my phone, then I had a calculator. It was one of them old phones, okay? It's my first phone that I got, okay? So I had a calculator. So they were like, they saw me and they said, you can't use phones. And I said, I'm just using it for my calculator, right? And they told me no, and they had to confiscate it, right? So I was sitting here like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I'm looking around, everyone else has a calculator, and I have no calculator, and I have to do this entrance exam. I was sure I was going to fail. I was so scared and so nervous, okay? But what ended up happening was I didn't fail. I didn't do bad. I passed it. I survived, okay? I had to do everything by hand, every calculation on the test. And I was thinking and it was coming in, and some of the stuff was like, I'm not sure if this is how we're supposed to do it. I'm not sure if this is right, but let me go ahead and do it, right? I survived, okay? Now, I want to make this point. In schools, they allow our children to use calculators. And how do I know this? Because my daughter and my students tell me this all the time. When in school we use a calculator, but my teacher let me use a calculator. I said, I'm not in your school, okay? I'm not using no calculators in here, right? So, a calculator is for kids who don't know how to do basic math. Tell yourself that. A calculator is for a kid who cannot do the math. Okay? Now I know when we were younger, with us, we use calculators, we know how to do math, but we're using the calculators real quick because we want to do it quickly and everything. Now, it's now something that's so commonplace in schools that anybody can use the calculator to do even the smallest, easiest things. And we have to get our kids out of that habit. And we have to make sure that our kids are learning how to do actual math at home. Because in school, if everybody can use a calculator, then our kids are not ever trying to think and figure math out. That's not good. I also, not only do I teach literacy, but I also teach math word problem class. But in the math word problem class, we have to work on math skills, because you can learn how to read and understand and solve and create word problems, but you can't really learn to understand that or do it if you don't know how to do math. So we do that too. All right? Now I'm going to tell you the reasons why you should not allow your children to use calculators. Not only should you not allow your children to use calculators, you should be having them do math on a regular basis and practice math on their own. Okay? Number one, I already told you, calculators are for kids who don't know how to do math. Tell yourself that. A calculator is not necessary. It's for kids who don't know how to do it. So they just assume that everybody's going to struggle, so here you go. Okay? The second reason why you want your child to do math without using a calculator is because they develop a greater understanding of about how numbers work. Okay? I have my students do math in front of me, and I have them explain to me step by step. What do you do next? Then I did this, 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 then I did this. They are understanding how numbers work, and they also are catching their own mistakes during that. That's another one. That's a bonus. I just throw that in. Okay? Next, kids can complete problems faster. Homework won't take as long if they are used to doing the problems themselves. Okay? And they know how to do the math. For example, if I ask a child to do some math or solve a word problem, and you're supposed to multiply in a word problem, a lot of them are using addition instead. So instead of doing 3 times 5, they're doing 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, because they don't know their multiplication tables. Okay? They don't know their multiplication facts. This is not okay. Just because they have a calculator, they could just do 3 times 5 in a calculator. That's not what they should be doing. We should make sure that they know their multiplication facts. We should make sure that they know how to add and subtract simple numbers without using their fingers. Okay? So if I see a student using their fingers, I know we got to work on those addition and subtraction facts. They got to know them, and they got to be fast with them to a point where when I say know them, and also multiplication, they don't have to think and figure it out. They just know them. 5 plus 3, 8. 7 plus 3, 10. 5 plus 6, 11. Okay? They should just know them. But if they use calculators all the time and they rely on calculators, they're not even going to try to know this math. Okay? So if they're not trying to know it because they could just use a calculator, then they're not going to develop a greater understanding of how numbers work, and they're also not going to be able to complete problems faster. They're going to get stuck, and they're going to get frustrated, and they're going to give up. And that's something we definitely don't want for our kids. Okay? And sometimes my students have told me, they say, well, Miss Sharita, they'll say, well, Miss Sharita, in school, I could just use a calculator. And one student actually was trying to argue me down because he was upset that he had to take my math class that his father signed him up for. Okay? He said, I'm good at math. I don't need math, Miss Sharita. Then I said, well, you don't need math. Okay, well, show me this. Show me this. Well, I don't need to know this. I could just use a calculator at school. I said, no, man. You don't want to rely on a calculator in school. You don't want to be in a position where you don't know how to do this on your own, and you need a calculator. You don't want to need a calculator. But that was his thing. He was just trying to get out of doing math. But how many kids are thinking like this? I don't need to actually learn this. I don't need to actually know this. In school, they help us solve it, or they just give us a calculator. This is reality, y'all. This is what our kids are thinking. And this is what our kids are doing, and how they're handling the fact that they are not equipped to actually do this math. Okay? The next one. If they do math, and I see this, I witness this all the time. If they do math on their own, and they get through the tough part where they're not sure, they're stuck, and they worry about getting it wrong, they get through all of that, and they get to the other side where they're getting it right. And then they know how to do the next one, and they know how to do the next similar problem, and the next one. Now they're creating their own problems and solving them. They now develop confidence around math. How confident can you be in math if you don't know how to do the math? You need a calculator, or you need help. So our kids are in school, basically when it comes to math, and I always talk about reading all the time. It's the same thing. When kids have accommodations, or they have help, and they can't get through it themselves, they always have somebody helping them, or they have a calculator, or they have assistants, right? Then it really makes them feel bad about themselves. They worried about failing all the time. They don't feel like they can do it, and we cannot have that. Okay? But when they get to that point where they start doing it, the excitement, the enthusiasm, and what's the next one? I'm about to do this. One of my students yesterday, I helped him get through a multiplication. It was 4 digits, multiplying 4 digits by 1 digit. And he just mastered it yesterday. Now we're going to do 4 digits by 2 digits. Okay, we're going to get up to it. Yeah, he probably not going to get a lot of that in school, where he have to do a lot of that by himself, is what I'm saying. But he needs to learn his multiplication tables. So that's what we were doing drills, and now I advanced it so that he can do that while we're doing the other stuff. Okay, so my students learn the basic stuff that they should have mastered that they don't know, right? And they learn, and now that they're challenged, but they also learn stuff that they would be learning in class, right? All right, so check out what happened. I said, okay, you're doing good. Oh, you did good with that one. All right, so this is the last one. I'm gonna let you go on break because my students have 2 classes back to back, and we be having it going. Sometimes I gotta make myself get them a break because we be going in. I'm like, how I could do this all day. So let you take a break. And then when you come back, we'll see if you got that, if you can solve that problem, right? Like you did the other one. He's like, I'll just do it now, Miss Sharita. I was like, okay then. Then I stepped back. He did it and he got it right. So that's what we call, when we talk about the self-party, when kids start having self-motivation, self-discipline, self-control, self-awareness, self-accountability. He was like, Miss Sharita, I'll just do it now. He wanted to get it. He was excited about getting the next problem, completing it, so that he can, know that he got it right. Or if he did make a mistake, fix it and get it right before he went on break. He decided that. And my students do the same thing when it comes to reading. When they reading and stuff, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna stop right here and take a break. Well, let me just read this last sentence, because success feels good. If our children are fighting us when it comes to math and they don't want to do it, it's just because they feel uncomfortable, they scared of getting it wrong, and they don't have a solution, and they feel like they're going to be stuck in that predicament. But you get them out of that predicament, they do great. So let me go from the top. Why you shouldn't let your child use a calculator. Number 1, calculators are, and we're going to have this new mindset. Calculators are for kids who cannot do math on their own. Okay? But if they are equipped to do all kinds of math on their own with their pencil and with their brain and figure it out and be able to learn how to navigate through a problem, right? And catch their own mistakes or fix their own and correct their own mistakes, they are well equipped. They do not need a calculator. And that's what we do here. We work to improve our children's behavior and literacy and math word problems, right? But there's math in there too. From home, so that they don't need an 8 in the class. They don't need these accommodations, okay? They can just get it done, and they feel great doing it. So the first one is calculators are for kids who don't know how to do math and basic math. Number 2, kids develop a greater understanding for how numbers work. That's number 2. Reason why. They would never understand really how numbers work unless they're playing with them, unless they're using them, unless they make a mistake here and they're fixing them. Oh, that's why I went wrong. They will never have a great understanding of how numbers work if they could just plug it in the calculator and that's it. Okay? They complete problems faster. Okay? Because they understand how numbers work and because they're used to working with the numbers, right? They know their addition, subtraction facts. They know their multiplication. They know how to divide. They know how to do everything, right? They know how to do fractions. They know how to work with decimals. They know how to read place value, right? They know how to read numbers up to the millionth place, the billionth place, If they know how to do all these things, then they can complete the problems faster, okay? And then that brings us to the next benefit or reason why you should not let your child use a calculator is when they're able to do all of that, they develop greater confidence in math. Okay? And then they go after it instead of running away from it. Okay? And then the last part is not even really about math. It's about that focus again. Okay? It improves their attention to detail. See, a lot of what we do in my program, the way that I teach my students, it's not only, we combine behavior and academic coaching at the same time. So it's not only how do I do this, but a lot of it is learning how to improve their focus, stamina, pay attention to detail, not miss stuff, sit down in the chair when it's time for them to work independently instead of needing somebody to work with them or stand right next to them. Okay? So naturally, this helps them improve their attention to detail, because if they get the answer wrong, first of all, my students, it's not just about the answer. And I want to say this, like I feel like right now I have so much I want to say to you right now, start coming out at the same time. But I want to say this, when our kids do math, it's not about if they do it correctly. It's not about getting the right answer. And that's what kids be worried about, and that's what they focus on in the beginning. So it's not about that, right? Hey, LaShawna. She said definitely, right? So we talk about, we don't, in the beginning, we not focus on the answer. When our kids do math, the first thing we want to know, because they be like, did I get it right? Did I get it right? First thing I'm asking is, I ask, what's your answer? And then they tell me, and they're used to it now. And I say, how'd you get your answer? Tell me what you did. And then they show me, and we're virtual, so I'm like, tell me what to write next, and tell me what to put this, and what do I put the number, and what do I do next, 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 right? Are you at work? Taking a peek? Thanks for hanging with me at work. Miss Sean, that's my Leo twin right there. We be hanging out. Right. So when we go through all of this, they're not worried about the answer yet. They're worried about, you want them to get into the process of it. It's more value in them understanding how to get from A to B in the math problem and being able to explain it, understand what they're doing step by step, than it is for them to get the correct answer. So we don't want them to jump from doing the math, this is the problem, this is the answer, did I get it right? Okay? And then when they do that and they go through that process, they're going to get better and better and just start getting them right easier. And that's what I see. Okay? So it's really important to make sure that they understand it. We want them to pay attention to detail when they're doing the math problem, and that's a good way to get them to slow down. That's a good way to get them to slow down and look at their problem, is by having them explain everything they did with the math problem. In the end, if they got it wrong, then I say, okay, well, a lot of times they catch their mistake before they get there. But in the end, we go through everything. If they didn't catch it, and I'm like, well, you're close. Where do you think you went wrong? What do you think? Then they go back in the problem. And, oh, yeah, that's right here. That's a tremendous learning experience. And that is a lot of growth. And that now they have that confidence. So next time they do the math problem, they like, last time I made this mistake, now I know better. Okay? So that's helping them pay attention to detail. When you have your child actually do the work and work through it and pay attention to detail, thanks for the love, then they're not only just going to pay attention to detail when they are doing math, but they're going to do it when they're doing reading, and they're going to do it in other areas of their life, because it's just about slowing the brain down, looking, and being accountable for every single piece. That if we let our children use calculators, they are being robbed from that experience. They're being robbed from that growth, that opportunity to grow every single day in math. Okay? And I tell my students, I don't want y'all to use Captain T. I talk a lot of junk. I'm not at their schools, okay? They're all over the place. Even though I still tell them, like, I will go to your school. I will drive 3 hours to go to, because we virtual. Go to your school. Don't think I won't, because I've done it before. But now, to tell y'all the truth, I'm just tell y'all, and my students know. But they still get scared when I say it. My students are all over the place. When I first started, I had a student that was just in Newark, and I had one student. And I just showed up at his school, and he did not know I was there. I was coming. Luckily for him, he was absent that day. He was absent that day, but I showed up at his school. I actually did a workshop, a conflict resolution workshop at the school for kids, for students, but I didn't tell him I was coming. So I just showed up, and I went to his class and everything, but he was not there. But I tell him all the time, I would show up to your school, and don't let me go in that school, see you use no calculator. I don't care what the rest of the class is doing, okay? If you know how to do this math, you do it. Same thing with getting your work done. You do your work. If you know how to write, when it's time to do a writing assignment, if you know how to write, well, they say the students say now you don't have to write much in class, which I think that's another topic altogether. Don't be waiting for the aide or the teacher to come and help you. You know how to do it. Get it done. When I talk to your teachers, I don't want to hear that you need a lot of help in the classroom. You know how to do it. Get it done. Okay? So they know. All right? But this is, I feel so passionately about this, about not letting our children use a calculator at home. Moms, we don't have control over what they do in the school. But understand, the way they teach in the school, they're teaching the class. You understand what I'm saying? If you want your child to learn a certain way, you are their mom. So you can have their learning be a different way at home. Do you understand? You don't have to have them just, learn the way everybody else is learning. That teacher has to teach the whole class. And she has to teach in a way and consider everyone's different levels. But your child is your child. And your child is unique. And your child needs to learn at their challenge level. Our kids need to learn at their challenge level. Whatever they know and they master, we review it. So to make sure they keep it. And then we go to the next level. You know how to do this? Now we're going to do this. Like I told you, my student has conquered, a couple students this past week has conquered 4-digit by 1-digit multiplication. So now we're going to be doing 4-digit by 2-digit multiplication because you already conquered that one. It's time to move on. Let's go. Let's do this. Okay? Will they be using a calculator? No. No. And then we do little drills and things. I have a bunch of different drills. Sometimes I still mix them up. Little games and competitions where they have to really think and figure it out. If anybody is calling a calculator, oh boy, that's it for you, okay? You are disqualified. We don't play that mess. And I'm gonna tell y'all one quick story. And this wasn't for math. We was doing a spelling challenge, and one of my students couldn't handle the pressure, I guess. So he started cheating, right? Now, Miss Sharita I'm so nosy and I notice everything. My students say, I'm like the CIA. So I observe I'm paying attention to how you do work and how you learn, but I also, with a hawk's eye, paying attention to behavior. So I know my students very well. I could tell he was cheating, okay? And so I stopped the game and started talking to him about finally he admitted it. And then I just said, well, you got to talk to your classmate. See, my students, they know each other. They're close. And they're in one of the Morgan Unlimited Growth Institute Success rules is encourage your peers. So if one of the students is cheating, that's affecting the other student. And they talk to each other, okay? And they give advice. I said, you got to talk to him. So I muted myself and I turned off the camera so they could have some privacy. And, it's just about the adults' eyes not being on the kids all the time, making sure that they do what they need to do so that they learn how to function independently. So it's different if I'm there talking to them and telling them what to talk to each other. Now tell him how you feel. Now tell him what you think and tell him why and all this other stuff. So I did that. I could still hear him, see him, right? But I was quiet behind the scenes. And he apologized to him. And he was like, yeah, man, if it get hard and everything, I know it get hard and everything, but don't cheat. It's not going to help you, bro. It's not going to help you. They in middle school. It's not going to help you, bro. Just do your best, all right? Don't cheat, Then they pieced that up, and then we went on with the game. Now, he lost his game. He lost all his points, plus it took away 2 extra points because we don't play that. But they worked it out amongst themselves. They are accountable to each other, and they encourage each other, okay? So I just wanted to say that little piece because we're talking about calculators and cheating. All right. So, like I said, do not let your child use a calculator at home. No matter how much they cry, no matter how much they say they can't do it, no matter how much they say, but they let us use it in school. You are your child's mom, and if you want your child to get good in math, they got to put that crutch down. That's a crutch. And they have to develop a relationship with the numbers and the strategies and the steps in these math problems. So a lot of kids be trying to run away from the steps. They have to develop a relationship with math one-on-one. They don't need us being in the middle helping them. They don't need the aide at school helping them, and they don't need teacher helping them, and they really don't need a calculator helping them during this process, because then they're going to get further away from it and take it easy and not go hard at it. We can coach them, but they have to do it themselves first. That's how we do things here. All right. I love y'all. I'm going to get ready for my next class coming up. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Ms. Darnett, Ms. Shauna, for coming through. I appreciate you, Ms. Shauna, for coming and peeking while you at work. And you be working very hard. Thank you for taking the time. All right. I love y'all. For more information on my tutoring coaching program, y'all go to growthinstitute.mykajabi.com. Believe in yourself, believe in your child, honey, and always remember that growth is unlimited. Peace.